Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about The Last Jedi, which is the next installation of the current Star Wars trilogy. I have to say, as a first part of the installation for this new trilogy, I was not super impressed with The Force Awakens because I feel like there were so many problems and plot holes with it. I think a lot of Star Wars fans will agree with that. And I think what this movie did is filled in a lot of those holes. There's still some unanswered questions, but I think it did a good job of answering some of those. This video is going to be full of spoilers, so if you have not seen The Last Jedi, I would recommend not watching this video because I am going to be talking about some of the major things. The biggest thing that we have as fans been waiting for the past 2 years is who are Rey's parents. We thought maybe it was a Skywalker, maybe even possibly it was a Kenobi. We had literally no idea who was going to be her mother and her father, and this movie dropped a big bomb on us, and whether it's true or not, because Kylo Ren was the one who said it, Rey kind of confirmed it, but Rey's parents are nobody. They were not, as far as we know, Jedi. They were not linked to anyone in any of the previous main installments, so as far as we know in this movie, Rey literally comes from nothing, so she just is very powerful in the Force. The second huge bombshell that they dropped on us was Kylo killing Snoke. It would have been way too tropey, especially because they're kind of following the 4, 5, 6 format. This one very much followed the 5 and 6 format, so it would have been way too expected and predictable for Snoke to be killed in episode 9, so they killed him off in this one. What was interesting is that Snoke was kind of reading Kylo's mind while he was doing it and was saying that he is turning the lightsaber to kill his greatest enemy. Snoke thinking that being Rey, but not seeing through Kylo's clouded dark side mind that he was actually his greatest enemy is Snoke, which is really interesting because when Rey looked into Kylo's future, she saw light side. And when Kylo looked into Rey's future, he saw dark side. And so he's very clearly clouded and unsure of where his destiny is at. And I think that's why his greatest enemy is Snoke, because there's a part of him that is so angry that Snoke is the reason why he killed his father, why he killed all the Jedi, and why he burned down the temple. That leading into the next really big thing that they dropped on us in this movie is in the books and in that kind of Legends timeline, Luke is really freaking cool. Like, he's a badass. And Luke goes off to start a new Jedi Academy. He brings up a whole new generation of Jedi. And Luke continues fighting the good fight and keeps just being cool all the way through the franchise. And in this one, Luke kind of seemed a little bit like a pansy, like especially what we were described in The Force Awakens, and then kind of what we saw in the beginning of this one, and leading up so much to the Yoda scene. Luke just didn't seem connected. And when we finally find out why he is the way that he is, that he did in fact try to start up a new academy, granted it was very small, they did bring some of those elements from the Legends, which in my opinion are still just as valid, and I think that just because Kathleen Kennedy says that it's not canon doesn't mean that it's not. So I like that the movie is kind of bringing in some of those concepts. So there were a lot of referencing scenes, something that felt super referential to me, and I know that other people on Tumblr have pointed this out. If you are a fan of Battlestar Galactica, in one of the very early parts of the season, the Cylons are chasing Galactica, and every time they jump into faster than light and go to a new area, the Cylons appear 33 minutes behind them because they're tracking them. And they keep jumping and they're running low on fuel, they're running low on supplies, everyone's just really wearing down, and they can't figure out why the Cylons are still coming after them, and they eventually figure out they're being tracked. So they kind of pulled that idea, whether that was somebody in their brain wanting to reference Battlestar or someone in their brain thinking, wow, this is a great original idea, and not realizing that someone else had done it. It was very referential to that, and other people have noticed that it was very similar to those. But it wasn't a completely original concept. So that was just like, it bothered me, but it didn't bother me. I don't know how to explain it. The casino scene was just a tiny bit unnecessary for me, but I think more of that has to do with Rose. I don't particularly love her as a character, and I don't quite understand the dynamic between her and Finn's relationship. And I'm not just saying that because I really want Finn and Poe to happen. I'm saying it because Rose kind of developed this love interest in Finn, but it's almost a hero complex. She fell in love more with the fame behind him rather than who he is as a person, so the romance seemed a little bit out of left field for me. What I did appreciate about the casino scene was that it kind of added more to the lore. What the Empire did is they took everything from the clones and they took all of the technology from the Republic. So with the Empire collecting all their weaponry, that kind of logically makes sense because the Republic was funding it. How the First Order got everything, especially after the Empire crumbled, there'd be nothing really left in the galaxy. So if they're threatening very rich people who are arms dealers, or just arms dealers in general, and making them rich, that is how they got all their weaponry. A lot of people were hoping that the Starforge would kind of come back in, you know, outside reaches of space, coming back with a mass amount of weaponry. But we kind of got a little bit of that explained with the casino scene. Possibly the coolest thing in the entire movie was confirmation that Leia has the Force, because we were teased in episode 6 and even episode 5 a little bit. She felt where Luke was and she knew where to take the Millennium Falcon so that they could save Luke. She's shown to have some type of Force affinity, but in this one we got a definite answer that Leia has the Force, and we saw her using some type of Force breath, Force aura, which we have seen in Knights of the Old Republic, and we saw her use that ability to bring herself from the vacuum of space back to the ship and inside, and she of course exhausted all of her energy doing that and passed out right away. But we did get positive confirmation that she has Force affinity, which is so cool, and it really just makes Leia such a great, fantastic character. Since Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away, we got to really see Leia do something just incredible using the Force before she passed away, and I appreciate that that scene got made because we got that satisfaction of being able to see her fully realized as a Force-sensitive person. And now the very last thing that I want to talk about was Luke dying at the very end. This is the first time that I can recall, maybe there have been other instances in the books or in other games where a Force-sensitive person has been able to create a doppelganger, and that exhausted all of his energy, and it caused him to become one with the Force and die, which was super tragic and super unfortunate because the movies, as far as I am aware, was supposed to be episode 7 was supposed to be Han's story, episode 8 was supposed to be Luke's story, and then episode 9 was supposed to be Leia's story, and now we won't get either one of them in episode 9, which is super sad, unless they can figure out a way to bring Force Ghost Luke and make him a prominent character in 9. And it's just really sad and upsetting that he's gone. But I think it was a good place for him, and especially where he was with the Force and wanting to not exist anymore and wanting to just let everything die and move on. I think it was a good place for Luke. But we did see, and there was a small teaser, didn't linger too much on the shot, but we did see that possibly Luke hid all of the old Jedi text inside the Millennium Falcon. I don't remember who the character was that opened up a drawer, but they opened up one of the drawers and it looked like the texts were in there. So possibly when he went in to go take those dice, he put in the text there. Last point that I wanted to talk about was that this movie very much had a lot of comedy. It was so overtly funny, and not in like a slapsticky way like they tried to do with Jar Jar. It was a very it was intentional, it was with thought, and it was intelligent. There were a lot of jokes that were just timed really well and were put in there, and I think it made the characters more real, but it also Disneyfied them just a tiny bit, is that they were more humorous in their approach to everything. Is that a bad thing? No. As a hardcore Star Wars fan, I want to be like, ugh, Star Wars is just so, like, important and serious. But, like, on the other hand, I'm like, but Star Wars could not have to, it doesn't have to take itself seriously. it can be something fun. And we've seen that in so many of the media, and we've seen that in so many video games where the characters were just funny and had funny dialogue and funny things to say to each other. I personally enjoyed it, and I thought it made it lighter since the movie was so heavy. For the next installment, I think that the Resistance is going to have a really hard time building itself back up. The Republic, as far as we know, is gone. The First Order destroyed them, but the First Order is also really dwindling down, and Kylo's now the Supreme Leader. So what is he going to do with all that power? Is he going to do what he wanted to do and let it all just die? Is he going to find a way to sabotage it and create his own order? Because it seems like that's what he's wanting to do, and that's what he wanted to do with Rey. So is he giving up on that because he can't have Rey with him? Or is he going to do it anyways? Is he gonna stay as the Supreme Leader and just rule the hell out of it and pursue the Resistance until they're all dead? I think that he's gonna have the biggest story arc in the next movie. And as far as with Rey, I really don't know where they're gonna take her. Now that she's admitted who she is, she admits where she came from, she's got nothing holding her back from fully embracing the Force. I personally would love it if she became a Grey Jedi. I think it'd be cool if she embraced the Grey Jedi stance and kind of took from both the light and the dark side of the Force and figured out a way to create a new Jedi Order like what Luke did in the expanded universe. I think that'd be really cool. Thank you all so much for watching. Please leave your comments and your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will respond to those if you have any questions. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!